Shalom, shalom. This is your brother Shemak with the Great Millstone Cleveland branch. And I'm going to start off by, of course, giving our honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakwadash. Double honor to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, rule and teach well. Shalom to everybody tuning in, listening, learning, getting this edification from several brothers doing this ministry from the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and freedom to do so. And if I already didn't, Mashanakabah, Lahazukohen, Sharagadar Wakab, giving double honors to the elder apostles. And I just want to get into this lesson, Daniel 7, dealing with the four beasts. All right. So just getting right into it. It's the book of Daniel, chapter 7, and verse 1. It says, in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and vision of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. Verse 4. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given unto it. Right, so what it's describing is a griffin, and this is dealing with the Babylonian Empire. It's describing a griffin, which is a lion with eagle's wings, and it said that it was plucked up, and that it was made up to stand as the feet of a man, right? Because the original Babylonians was taken down, and you had the Assyrians, take control. Because originally, if brothers can recall, you had the Tower of Babel, which, if you know, the Tower of Babel, it consisted of Nimrod the king, right? Which Nimrod the king, he was a Cushite, which I'm about to get that scripture. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 10. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 10, verse 8. Bear with me for a second. All right, this is the book of Genesis, chapter 10, verse 8. It says, and Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty man. It says he began to be a mighty one in the earth, right? So if you know Nimrod, he was the king of the original of the original Babylon, right? And he was a Cushite. But eventually, you had the Assyrians take down the Babylonians, and then you had the which would become the Neo-Babylonian Assyrians take down those Assyrians. So that's why it was made to stand up the feet of it like a man, and a man's heart was given to it, Nebuchadnezzar. All right, and that's how the original Babylonian empire was changed into the Neo-Babylonian Empire, which consisted of Assyrians. All right. So moving on to the next verse, it says, and behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth. Right, this bear is talking about the Persians and the Medes, the Persian and Mede Empire, right? which came up after the Babylonian Empire. It says, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, right? And that 3 ribs represent the 3 directions that they conquered. And I got some information. This is it says one of the. I'm just going to the 3 directions that they conquered. West, in the west, it was Lydia and parts of Greece. In the northern, it was the Midian, and in the south, it was Babylon and Egypt. So that was the, 3 different areas that they went forth to conquer. Right. So it says and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it and between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh, right? And the teeth is a representation of the military. They had a good run that the Lord allowed them to have in taking down, different opponents, if you will. And verse 6, it says, after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl, right? And this leopard is dealing with the Grecian Empire, the Greeks, right? Starting with Alexander the Great, right? And if you know, the leopard is a fast animal, and that's how fast the Grecians went through taking their opponents down, their enemies down, right? Alexander the Great, he reigned for 12 years, and that was a quick run, but the Lord allowed him to gain a lot of power in that short time, right? That was a little bit over a decade that he ruled. And I got a precept. This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, and verse 7. It says, so Alexander reigned 12 years, and he died, and then died. But let me keep reading this Daniel 7 and 6. It says, after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon his back 4 wings. All right, so we're going to go back to this First Maccabees, but it said the 4 wings, right? And the 4 wings represent the 4 regions we're in, the Grecian kingdom had acquired, right? And to start off, this is the first was the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt, the Seleucid Empire in the east, the kingdom of Pergamon in Asia Minor, and Macedon. So there you go. That was the 4 different regions that Greece had power over. And if I'm not mistaken, they might have had more, but I think this was like the main 4. But I could be mistaken. I have to fact check that. But if not, just put it in the comments. But that was the 4 wings. So I'm gonna keep reading. It says the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Right? So what's the 4 heads? Because if you know, Alexander the Great, he was 1 head, and he had his time to rule. But what happened was Alexander the Great ended up dying, like we just read in First Maccabees, which we're gonna go back to. First Maccabees, chapter 1, then verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule every one in his place. So there you go. He had servants that ended up coming into his stead. You know, his servants came up in his stead to replace him as powers. All right. So it says it says let's go into those four generals that he raised up after his death. That was raised up after his death. Like we just read, his servants bear ruling instead. So after his death, the four that's who these four heads is. All right. It says Ptolemy, Cassander, Lasmachus, and Seleucus. That's the four. Ptolemy, Cassander, Lasmachus, and Seleucus. All right. So that is what it's talking about when it say four heads and dominion was given to him, to it. Verse 7. And this I saw in the night vision, and beheld a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. And once again, the teeth is a representation of the military, and in this case, the teeth are iron, which, if you know, the Roman Empire consisted of iron upon their swords, man. You know, which if you know, is like a gift from Yahweh Shah to Esau, because Esau was ruling during the Grecian Empire. I mean, during the Roman Empire, is lucky because that's what his fourth beast is talking about. It's talking about the Romans, right? Esau was ruling during the Grecian Empire, but Esau was also ruling during the Roman Empire, and that the Romans was rich in iron, which is iron is one of the strongest military weapons. It's the strongest military metal. It says you got different types of iron, and I want to read this again. It says Daniel 7:7. After this, I saw in the night vision, it beheld a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns, right? And it was diverse from all of the beasts that was before it because they introduced a democracy. They introduced, you know what I'm saying? They introduced that democracy, which, and beforehand, you had always had a monarchy. Even the Edomite empire that was before that, which the Grecians, they had a monarchy, right? So this was a new thing that made them different from other kingdoms. Diverse from other kingdoms was that the democracy style of rulership, right? And it had 10 horns, right? Just like you got 10 horns today with the NATO and the EU, you know, the surrounding, um, countries that allied with America. You had the same thing going on during the Roman Empire. You had, surrounding countries, neighboring countries that allied with Rome. And I'm gonna read verse 8. It says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. Right? And this little horn is talking about America. Because America is gonna sprout from this beast. is gonna be similar to this beast. America is a Roman Empire revived, right? And it's a out of the three horns plucked up by the roots, right? Because if you can remember what America sprung out of, America sprung out of Great Britain. The Americas sprung out of the British. They wanted to have their independence from Britain, and the three was the French, Spain, and Britain. All right. So America sprang out of you know what I'm saying, Britain, which Britain would be, it would consist of one of them three horns plucked up by the roots, you know, French, Spanish, and Britain. And it says, plucked up by the roots, and behold, in his horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things, right? Because, you know, that's what America does. They blaspheme, they speak great things against the Lord. Blasphemous things, things that ought not to be spoken. Verse 9, it says, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, right? It's talking about Yahweh, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wood. His throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as a burning fire. So there you go. You know, that's the Lord, you know, in his vision. And that was the four beasts dealing with Daniel, the 7th chapter. You know, so Lord's willing, that was edifying to an elect member. You know, Thawadi Yahweh Shem Shah for giving me a spiritual to this lesson. Till next time, I say Shalom. Kwame Charlotte. Shalom.